March 23, 1945, 10:47 in the morning. Winston Churchill sat in his command aircraft minutes from landing in Germany to witness British glory. Field Marshal Montgomery's Operation Plunder, the meticulously planned Rhine crossing, would demonstrate to the world that British forces remained the professional elite of the Allied coalition. Then the radio crackled. 4 words that stopped Churchill's heart. Patton crossed last night. Not today, not with Montgomery's 1,000 guns and airborne drops. Last night, with some boats and what Patton would later call a band of angry Penions. Montgomery's immediate message to Churchill contained 2 sentences. American insubordination has made a mockery of Allied planning. Patton must be relieved of command immediately. What Churchill said in response, first to Montgomery, then to his inner circle, and finally in a whispered admission to his physician, would reveal the brutal truth about alliance warfare, the price of pride, and why wars are won by those willing to choose results over protocol.
To understand Churchill's impossible position, you need to understand what Montgomery had been promised. January 12, 1945. Churchill had personally assured Montgomery that Operation Plunder would be the centerpiece of Allied victory in Europe. Not American improvisation, British professionalism. Montgomery had spent 2 months planning, 1.2 million men, 25,000 vehicles, 3,500 artillery pieces, airborne drops, smoke screens, the largest river crossing since Normandy. Churchill had invited war correspondents. He'd arranged for photographers. He'd personally written the communique celebrating British military excellence that would be released the moment Montgomery's forces secured the eastern bank. Everything was ready, except George Patton had other ideas. March 22nd, 10:37 at night, Patton called Eisenhower from Luxembourg. Ike, quick update. She crossed the Rhine at Oppenheim, used assault boats, minimal casualties. Thought you'd want to know. Eisenhower's response, captured in the Schaeff telephone log, revealed his immediate understanding of the political catastrophe. George, please tell me you coordinated this with Montgomery. Patton's reply was pure Patton. Monty's got his own crossing tomorrow. Didn't want to bother him with details. Eisenhower hung up and immediately called his chief of staff.
Get me Churchill. George just created the biggest diplomatic crisis of the war. March 23, 6:18 in the morning. Montgomery received confirmation that American forces had crossed the Rhine 12 hours before Operation Plunder was scheduled to begin. His reaction was recorded by multiple staff officers. He didn't shout, he went cold. Montgomery has deliberately sabotaged Allied strategy to satisfy his ego. This is insubordination at the strategic level. I want him relieved, court-martialed, and sent home today. His chief of staff tried to moderate. Sir, the crossing was successful. Third Army is expanding the bridgehead. Montgomery cut him off. Success is irrelevant. Discipline is paramount. If Patton is allowed to ignore command authority, we have chaos, not coalition. He drafted an immediate message to Churchill. American general has conducted unauthorized operation, violating agreed strategic framework. Request you demand Eisenhower relieve Patton immediately. British forces cannot operate alongside commanders who ignore command structure. Churchill received Montgomery's message at 9:15 in the morning, minutes before his plane was scheduled to land. His military secretary watched Churchill read it 3 times. Ismay, what are the facts? Sir, Patton crossed at Oppenheim last night, casualties under 30. Bridgehead secured. He did it without elaborate preparation, without Montgomery's permission, without anyone's permission. So Churchill stared out the aircraft window at Germany below. Montgomery was his chosen general, his protege, the careful professional who represented everything Churchill believed about proper military conduct. But Patton had just crossed Hitler's last natural barrier before Montgomery could even begin. The political mathematics were brutal. Support Montgomery, and Churchill would be demanding the firing of an American general for succeeding too quickly. Support Patton, and Churchill would be undercutting British military prestige in front of the entire world. Churchill's aircraft landed at 10:52. Montgomery was waiting on the tarmac, ramrod straight, face rigid. Churchill descended the stairs and Montgomery saluted. "Prime Minister, thank you for coming to witness Operation Plunder." Churchill's reply was carefully neutral. "Field Marshal, I received your message. Walk with me." They moved away from the assembled staff. Montgomery began immediately. "Prime Minister, I must insist Patton be relieved. His insubordination cannot stand." Churchill raised his hand. "Montgomery, I need you to answer one question with complete honesty. If Patton had asked permission to cross at Oppenheim last night, what would you have said?" Montgomery didn't hesitate. "I would have denied it. His crossing diverts attention from the main effort. Your main effort. The Allied main effort, as agreed upon by planners." Churchill paused. "By planners who gave you 2 months and gave Patton nothing. Bernard, is this about strategy or pride?" Montgomery's face flushed with respect. "Prime Minister, it's about maintaining command discipline." Churchill's response was quiet but devastating. "It's about Patton making you look slow." The words hung in the cold German air. Montgomery tried to respond, but Churchill continued. "Bernard, I've defended your methods for 3 years. Careful preparation, overwhelming force, minimal casualties. It's the British way, and it saved thousands of lives. But watching Patton cross the Rhine with boats while you needed 2 months to plan the same operation forces me to ask uncomfortable questions." Montgomery's voice was tight. "Prime Minister, if you're suggesting that American methods are superior, I'm suggesting that American speed achieves results we can no longer match." Churchill turned to face Montgomery directly. "The war is ending, Bernard. Germany is collapsing. Every day we spend in careful preparation is a day the Soviets advance further west. Patton understands this." Montgomery's reply was bitter. "So you're choosing him over me?" Churchill shook his head. "I'm choosing to win the war before the Soviets claim all of Europe. That requires speed we no longer possess." What Montgomery didn't know was that Churchill had been wrestling with this question for months. In December 1944, after Patton relieved Bastogne in 72 hours, Churchill had written in his diary, "Patton does in days what takes us weeks." In January, watching Montgomery's slow advance while Patton raced across France, Churchill confided to his physician, "The Americans have learned to move faster than we can think." And now, standing on a German airfield, watching Montgomery's elaborate preparations, Churchill realized the truth he'd been avoiding. British military doctrine, the doctrine he'd defended throughout the war, had been surpassed by American operational speed. Montgomery made one final attempt. "Prime Minister, if Patton is not disciplined, you set a precedent that command authority means nothing." Churchill's response became the most honest assessment of Allied politics ever recorded. "Bernard, you're right. Patton should be disciplined. He violated protocol. He ignored coordination requirements. He made you and the British military establishment look foolish. But here's what you're not seeing. If I demand Eisenhower fire Patton, the Americans will ask why, and I'll have to explain that we're firing their most successful general because he succeeded too quickly without British permission. Do you understand how that sounds?" Montgomery started to protest, but Churchill continued, "The Americans are providing 70% of Allied forces." They're bearing the majority of casualties. They're funding this entire operation, and their general just demonstrated that he can cross the Rhine in one night with minimal preparation, while we need 2 months and 1 million men to do the same thing. If I demand his firing, I'm admitting that British pride matters more than Allied victory. The silence that followed was broken by the sound of artillery. Operation Plunder had begun. Montgomery's crossing, meticulously planned, was finally happening, but everyone present knew it was no longer the main event. Churchill placed his hand on Montgomery's shoulder. "Bernard, you are one of Britain's finest commanders. History will remember your victories, but history will also remember that when the war's final chapter was written, an American general crossed the Rhine first, not because he was better than you, but because he was willing to risk everything on speed while we calculated caution." Montgomery's response was barely audible. "So I've lost." Churchill shook his head. "We've all lost something, Bernard. You've lost precedence. I've lost the illusion that British methods still define modern warfare. But we're winning the war. That has to be enough." Churchill returned to his aircraft without watching Montgomery's crossing. His military secretary is recorded what happened next. The Prime Minister sat in complete silence for 20 minutes. Then he asked me to take dictation. The message was to General Eisenhower. "General, I have received Field Marshal Montgomery's request that General Patton be relieved for unauthorized Rhine crossing. After careful consideration, I must decline to support this request. General Patton's operation, while uncoordinated, was successful and contributes to Allied objectives. I recommend no action be taken." Churchill paused before signing it. Then he added a handwritten postscript. "Ike, keep Patton moving. We can't afford to match his speed, but we can't afford to lose it either." That evening, Churchill met with his personal physician, Lord Moran, in private.
Moran's diary provides the only record of what Churchill said when he thought no important was listening. The Prime Minister looked exhausted. He poured himself a whiskey and said, "I've just chosen American results over British pride. Montgomery will never forgive me. The military establishment will be furious." But watching Patton cross that river while we prepared our elaborate show made me realize something terrible. We're no longer the leading military power in this alliance. We haven't been for quite some time. I've just been too proud to admit it. Moran asked if Churchill regretted the decision. Churchill's response was immediate. "Not for a second. Pride doesn't win wars. Speed does. Patton understands that. Montgomery doesn't. And if I have to choose between a general who protects British prestige and a general who ends this war faster, I choose the one who brings our boys home." But there was more, Churchill continued, and this is what makes this moment so significant. Bernard demanded Patton be fired for insubordination, and he's right. Patton ignored command structure. He violated protocol. In any properly run military, he'd face consequences. But here's what Bernard doesn't understand. We're not running a properly run military. We're running a coalition of competing national interests, where the side with the most resources makes the rules, and that side is no longer Britain, it's America. Moran recorded Churchill's next words verbatim. "I spent this entire war pretending we were equal partners with the Americans. Today I admitted the truth. They're the senior partner now. They provide the majority of men, material, and leadership. Patton crossed first because American military doctrine has surpassed ours, not in training, not in bravery, but in the willingness to move faster than caution recommends. That's the future of warfare, and we're no longer leading it." The consequences of Churchill's decision rippled through Allied command. Montgomery never forgave him. Their relationship, once warm, became coldly professional.
British military leadership felt betrayed. The chiefs of staff sent a formal protest to Churchill, noting that failure to discipline Patton undermined all command authority. Churchill's response was blunt. "Would you prefer I demand his relief and watch the Americans ignore me? That would undermine British authority far more than this quiet acceptance." But Churchill's decision had strategic implications beyond hurt feelings. By refusing to support Montgomery's demand, Churchill signaled to American commanders that operational success would be rewarded even when it violated protocol. Patton understood this immediately. After learning Churchill had declined Montgomery's request, Patton wrote in his diary, "The British finally understand this is our war now. We'll finish it our way." The final assessment came in Churchill's own memoirs, written years after the war. In Volume 6 of his history, he devoted an entire chapter to the Rhine crossings. He wrote, "General Patton's crossing at Oppenheim demonstrated that modern warfare rewards speed over preparation. Field Marshal Montgomery's Operation Plunder was a masterpiece of careful planning, but Patton's improvised assault achieved the same objective in one night with a fraction of the resources. The contrast was instructive, and for those of us who championed British methods, uncomfortable." But in a private letter to President Eisenhower in 1953, Churchill was more honest. "Ike, you asked me once if I regretted not supporting Montgomery's demand to fire Patton. The answer is no. Patton won the race to the Rhine. He helped end the war faster. He saved lives by moving so quickly the Germans couldn't organize coherent defense. Was he insubordinate? Absolutely. Was he necessary? More than I wanted to admit." What Churchill said when Montgomery demanded Patton be fired revealed the hardest lesson of coalition warfare. Sometimes you have to choose between the general who makes you proud and the general who wins faster. Churchill chose speed. He chose results. He chose to admit that British military methods, however professional, had been surpassed by American operational tempo. And in making that choice, he acknowledged a truth that Britain had been avoiding since 1942. The empire that had once defined military excellence was no longer setting the standard. It was trying to keep pace. Montgomery wanted Patton punished for breaking the rules. Churchill understood that Patton had exposed an uncomfortable reality. In modern warfare, the side that moves fastest wins, and Britain could no longer move fast.